The story opens inside a maximum security men's prison, a place where tension hums through every corridor. In the yard, inmates lift weights, jog laps, and shout over the noise of clanging metal and echoing footsteps. The air feels heavy, filled with sweat, heat, and a restless kind of energy that never quite fades. Without warning, a harsh alarm pierces the air. A voice over the intercom orders all inmates to return to their cells. Guards shout commands as prisoners shuffle back inside, muttering curses and complaints under their breath. Among the officers stands Sam, a young corrections guard who still carries a trace of uncertainty behind his stern expression. As he monitors the returning inmates, one prisoner, older, sharper, and far more dangerous, catches Sam's eye. The inmate waits until the noise dies down, then corners him in a narrow hallway. With a low, threatening voice, the inmate tells Sam that he knows secrets that could destroy his career. He demands that Sam bring him contraband from the outside, a phone, some cash, maybe even drugs. If Sam refuses, the prisoner promises to expose him to the warden and the other inmates. Sam's face tightens. He tries to brush the threat off, but the inmate leans closer, his grin full of menace. "You don't help me," he says, "and you'll end up right here beside me, but not on the same side of the bars." Sam feels a cold wave of fear run through him. For the first time, he realizes that in a place like this, a single mistake could cost him more than just his job, it could cost his life. Days pass, but Sam can't shake the inmate's threat. Every time he walks through the cell block, he feels the man's eyes on him, cold, calculating, waiting. The pressure grows until one evening, while Sam is doing rounds, the inmate corners him again in a dim corridor far from the cameras. "Did you bring what I asked for?" the inmate whispers, his tone calm but filled with danger. Sam shakes his head. "I'm not doing this for you," he replies firmly. The inmate laughs, a low, menacing sound. "Then I guess we both know what happens next." Before Sam can react, the inmate lunges at him. The two struggle violently, fists slam against the wall, boots scrape against the floor. Sam manages to pull out his baton, but not before a sharp object slices across his face. The pain explodes hot and blinding as blood runs down his cheek. Panicking, Sam swings the baton wildly, striking the inmate hard enough to make him stumble back. Other guards rush in at the sound of the commotion, shouting for everyone to stand down. The inmate falls to the floor, breathing heavily, glaring at Sam with the kind of hatred that doesn't fade. Later in the infirmary, Sam sits under the harsh fluorescent lights as a doctor stitches the wound on his face. The cut is deep, a constant reminder of how close things came. He winces when antiseptic touches his skin, trying to hide the tremor in his hands. When his colleagues Tim and Ede arrive, they immediately start asking questions. "What happened out there, Sam?" Tim presses. Sam exhales slowly. He knows he can't tell the truth that he was being blackmailed. Instead, he invents a story on the spot. "The guy been trouble for weeks," he says. "Refused to go back to his cell, got aggressive. I tried to calm him down, but he came at me first. I had to defend myself." The officers exchange uneasy looks. The explanation sounds rehearsed, but they don't push further. Tim nods and pats him on the shoulder. "Next time, don't let him get that close. Call for backup." Sam forces a small nod, but inside, guilt gnaws at him. He knows the lie won't hold forever, and the inmate who cut his face is still out there, waiting for his chance. The next morning, the atmosphere in the warden's office is thick with unease. Sam stands at attention in front of Warden Mills with Tim and Ede seated nearby. His face is still marked by fresh stitches, a thin red line cutting across his cheek, a quiet reminder of last night's violence. Warden Mills studies him in silence for a long moment. Then, without looking up from the report in his hands, he says, "You made a serious mistake, officer." Sam straightens, his voice calm but weary. "Sir, I did what I had to do. He attacked me." The warden finally raises his eyes. "And you let him close enough to do it. You never should have been in that position in the first place." The reprimand lands hard. Sam doesn't argue, he knows there's no point. The warden continues, explaining that for now, they'll move him out of the main cell block and into the tower to keep him away from the general population. It's presented as a precaution, but Sam hears what isn't said aloud: "You've become a liability." That afternoon, he's stationed in the tower, a narrow room overlooking the entire prison yard through reinforced glass. From there, the world feels distant and almost unreal. Below him, the inmates move like pieces on a chessboard, small, predictable, and contained. The isolation feels safer but also colder. Hours drag on. The wind howls against the metal siding and the hum of the surveillance equipment becomes his only company. Sam gazes down at the prisoners, scanning for any sign of trouble. Occasionally, he spots the inmate who attacked him, now back in the yard, talking with others. Even from a distance, Sam can sense the hostility radiating off him. Tim checks in over the radio. "You holding up okay up there?" Sam presses the button and forces a half smile. "Yeah, feels like a bird's nest with a better view." But as night falls and the floodlights illuminate the yard, the feeling of safety begins to fade. Sam realizes that being above the danger doesn't mean he's escaped it, only that he's watching it grow from a distance. Several days pass in uneasy silence. From his post high in the tower, Sam falls into a routine, long hours of watching, scanning, and reporting. The monotony dulls his nerves but sharpens his focus. Every movement in the yard feels amplified, every sound echoes differently when you're alone. One afternoon, the sky hangs low and gray over the prison. The yard below buzzes with restless energy, too much talking, too much motion. Something feels wrong. Sam raises his binoculars, adjusting the focus until he catches sight of a small group near the fence. The men are whispering, glancing around, their body language tense. His instincts kick in. He leans closer to the glass, tracking them carefully. One inmate gestures angrily, another shoves back. The tension snaps and in an instant chaos erupts. A fight breaks out, then another. The noise rises, shouts, curses, fists slamming against flesh. Within seconds, the entire yard turns into a boiling mass of violence. Sam's pulse races. He slams his hand down on the emergency alarm. The piercing siren blares across the compound. Guards pour out from every entrance armed with shields, batons, and canisters of tear gas. From above, Sam watches the scene unfold like a war zone. Thick clouds of gas roll through the yard as officers yell commands. Inmates cough, stumble, and drop to the ground, but not all of them. A few still fight back, swinging blindly through the haze. Sam's radio crackles with overlapping voices, orders shouted over panic. Then a sharp command cuts through. "Warning shots, fire 2 rounds." Gunfire echoes across the yard. The sound freezes everyone. Slowly, the inmates begin lying face down on the concrete, hands over their heads. The chaos dwindles into groans and scattered shouting. When the guards finally move in, their uniforms are coated in dust and sweat. They begin restraining prisoners one by one, zip ties snapping into place. From his tower, Sam exhales shakily. His hands tremble on the railing. For a moment he feels relief. He did his job, sounded the alarm, maybe even saved lives. But as the gas clears, he spots something he shouldn't have missed: 2 inmates attacking a third, hidden in a blind corner behind the gym. He realizes too late that he hadn't seen it soon enough. Down below, the last of the guards subdue the fighters. The yard is silent again except for the distant buzz of the intercom. Sam leans back against the cold wall of the tower, the weight of the day pressing down on him. He tells himself it's over, but deep down, he knows something has shifted, not just in the prison, but in the way his superiors see him. The following morning, the prison feels different, quieter, heavier. The riot has left its mark: broken fences, bloodstains on the concrete, and a tension that hangs in the air like smoke that refuses to clear. Sam stands outside the warden's office once again. His uniform is clean, his wound healing, but the unease in his chest hasn't faded. He knows the meeting won't go well. Inside, Warden Mills sits behind his desk, a thick file in front of him. Tim and Ede flank the room, both looking uneasy. The atmosphere feels like a trial rather than a debriefing. Mills doesn't waste time. "Officer Sam, do you know why you're here?" "Yes, sir, because of the riot," Sam answers, standing straight. The warden flips open the file. "That's right, you sounded the alarm before confirming the situation. The entire yard was filled with gas within minutes. 2 inmates are in the infirmary and one's dead. You think that's a success?" Sam clenches his jaw. "Sir, they were fighting. I reacted to prevent worse." Mills narrows his eyes. "You reacted, that's the problem, you didn't think." Tim steps forward. "With respect, sir, he followed procedure. He saw a threat and acted fast. If he'd waited, more men might have been hurt. But Mills isn't listening. His tone hardens, each word deliberate. You've been a problem since the Johnson incident. First you get attacked, now you start a chain reaction that nearly turns into a full-scale riot. He leans back, eyes cold. Maybe this job isn't for you. Eads speaks up quietly. Sir, he's not the enemy here, he just needs space from the inmates. Maybe move him to receiving or discharge somewhere low contact. Mills shakes his head. No, he's done in the men's facility. If he can't handle inmates here, maybe he'll do better in the women's prison. The room falls silent, even Tim looks stunned. With all due respect, sir, Tim says, putting him in a women's facility isn't protection, it's punishment. Those inmates will eat him alive. Mills' expression doesn't change. Then he'll learn to control himself. Either he transfers or he's done here. The decision is final, papers shuffle, the meeting ends. As Sam steps out into the corridor, the weight of the order hits him. A transfer to a women's prison, a completely different world, one he's never been trained for. Tim catches up to him near the exit. I tried to fight it, he says quietly, but Mills, once he makes up his mind, that's it. Sam nods slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, I figured. That night, as he packs his locker, he catches his reflection in the small metal mirror. The scar across his cheek is faint now, but his eyes, they look older, harder. Tomorrow he'll step into a new prison. Different walls, different faces. Same danger. The transfer takes place early in the morning. A cold mist lingers over the highway as the prison van cuts through the fog, tires humming against the asphalt. Sam sits quietly in the passenger seat, his uniform neatly pressed, his mind elsewhere. The hum of the engine gives him too much time to think about the riot, the warden's decision, and the silent understanding that his career is hanging by a thread. By the time the van passes through the high steel gates of the women's correctional facility, daylight has begun to pierce the clouds. The place looks different, cleaner, quieter, but the heavy air of control and confinement is the same. Inside, Sam is greeted by Lieutenant Harper, a veteran officer with sharp eyes and a cigarette voice. She gives him a firm handshake and a quick once-over. Warden said you're coming from the men's side, she says. That'll take some adjusting, things run differently here. He nods, unsure what to say. Harper leads him through the corridors past rows of cells, classrooms, and workshops. The women inside watch him as he passes, their gazes curious, some amused, others predatory. He can feel the weight of their eyes like heat against his skin. A few smile. One blows him a kiss. Don't take it personally, Harper says flatly. They test everyone new, especially men. In the recreation hall, Sam pauses as a group of inmates walk by. Among them is Cherry, a striking woman with sharp cheekbones and eyes that glitter with mischief. She looks at him for a moment too long before turning away with a knowing smirk. Later, in the education wing, Sam meets Mariam Meski, a teacher who runs classes for the inmates. She's kind but strict, her calm presence cutting through the tension in the room. When she notices Cherry flirting with Sam near the doorway, her expression hardens. After class, she corners him by the door. Who approved your transfer here? She asks, her tone more curious than hostile. Warden Mills, Sam replies. They said it was for my own protection. Mariam folds her arms. Protection? Don't fool yourself. These women might not look dangerous, but they know how to use what they have. You let your guard down once, they'll own you. Sam gives a short nod. I'll keep that in mind. She studies him for another moment as if trying to read what kind of man he is. Then she turns away and walks down the corridor. Sam exhales slowly, glancing back toward the classroom. Cherry is still there, pretending to clean her desk, her eyes following him as he leaves. He knows she's trouble, he can feel it, but for reasons he can't quite explain, he doesn't look away. That evening, after his first full shift at the women's facility, Sam joins the other guards in the break room, a cramped space filled with the smell of burnt coffee and cheap microwave dinners. The fluorescent lights hum overhead, and the conversation drifts between jokes, gossip, and quiet complaints about overtime. At first, Sam stays quiet, trying to blend in. Then Officer Ray, a middle-aged guard with a sarcastic grin, looks up from his sandwich. So, Ray says, pointing with his crust of bread, how's our new guy finding paradise? Sam gives a faint, tired smile. Honestly, compared to the men's prison, this place feels like a vacation. Laughter fills the room. Officer Dana, one of the few female guards, shakes her head. That's what every rookie says, give it a week. Ray chuckles. Yeah, wait till they start crying, happens every night. You'll hear sob stories about sick kids, lost mothers, and how none of them belong here. You'll want to believe them, don't. Sam leans back, crossing his arms. They really do that. Oh, they'll do worse, Dana replies. They'll flirt, manipulate, test you, see what buttons they can push, and if you give an inch, she pauses, letting the silence speak, they'll take everything. Another guard, Marcus, adds quietly, you'll learn quick that danger here doesn't always come with fists. It comes with smiles, tears, and secrets. The room grows still for a moment. Sam glances around, everyone nods knowingly. Ray takes a long sip of coffee. You think the men's side is bad, over there they'll hit you, here they'll make you hit yourself. Psychological warfare, man. Dana smirks. Best advice you'll ever get, follow the rules like a robot, no exceptions, you don't touch them, don't talk too long, don't believe a word they say, act like you don't even bleed. Sam nods, though he's not sure he can live like that. Got it, stay cold. Ray grins, exactly, cold and quiet, you'll live longer that way. A buzz from the intercom cuts through the tension, lights out in 10 minutes. Chairs scrape, cups clatter into the sink. The guards start heading back to their posts. As Sam rises, Dana gives him a pointed look. You've got a decent heart, Sam, that's your problem, don't let them see it. He nods silently and heads out into the dimly lit corridor. The sound of heavy locks clicking into place echoes through the halls. Behind every steel door are stories, some tragic, some cruel, but all of them dangerous. And somewhere among them is Cherry, waiting, watching, and planning her next move. The clock strikes 10. The loudspeaker buzzes and the evening lockdown begins. One by one, the women file back into their cells, the echo of their voices bouncing down the concrete hallways. The sound of metal doors closing mixes with the steady rhythm of boots on the floor, the nightly ritual of control. Sam moves down the corridor alongside Officer Dana and another guard, ticking names off a clipboard. Each cell they pass reveals a different story. Some inmates are already lying on their bunks, others whisper through the bars, a few stare silently into space. When they reach cell 20, Dana spots something. A hidden phone, sleek, small, tucked beneath a pillow. She grabs it, shaking her head. What a waste of money, she mutters, they never learn. The inmate glares but says nothing. Dana orders her to face the wall while Sam logs the infraction. Close cell 20, she calls out. The heavy door slams shut with a metallic thud. They keep moving, cell 19, cell 18, cell 17. The rhythm continues, open, check, close, like clockwork. The routine is designed to make guards feel safe, but Sam knows safety in prison is only an illusion. When they reach cell 17, Sam stops. Inside sits Cherry, the same inmate who caught his eye that morning. She's sitting on her bed, pretending to flip through a magazine, but her attention is fixed squarely on him. He pauses in the doorway. Everything all right in here? Cherry looks up slowly, a faint smile playing on her lips. I'm fine, officer, just reading. Her tone is light, almost teasing. Sam nods, trying to keep his composure. Good, lockdown time. She tilts her head, her eyes holding his for a moment too long. Then I guess you'd better close my door. The words sound innocent, but something about the way she says them makes his pulse quicken. He presses the switch and the cell door slides shut with a sharp clang. Through the narrow slot, Cherry watches him walk away, her smile widening just slightly before she turns back to her bed. As Sam and Dana finish the final checks, the corridor falls silent except for the mechanical hum of the lights. Dana signs off the final log entry and glances at him. You all right? You seem distracted. Just tired, he replies quickly. But as they leave the block, Sam can't shake the image of Cherry's eyes, calm, playful, and dangerous all at once. He tells himself it's nothing, just another inmate, just another night. But deep down he knows this is how it begins. The next day, Sam stands by the classroom door, supervising as the female inmates shuffle past him. The morning light streams through the barred windows, casting long shadows across the hallway. Everything seems routine, but Sam can feel the tension in the air like the calm before a storm. As the line of inmates passes, Cherry deliberately bumps into him. It's subtle just enough to throw him off balance. She grabs his jacket lightly, leaning in close. Her voice is low and playful. "I'll see you tonight," she whispers. Sam stiffens, a surge of heat rising in his chest. He glances around, no one is watching, yet every nerve in his body screams caution. He forces a small nod and steps aside, letting her pass. Later, a female guard observing from a distance gives him a sharp look. "Get your head straight, Sam," she says. "If you let them see weakness, they'll take advantage, every time." That night, it's Sam's turn to enforce lights out. The corridor is quiet except for the distant clatter of a closing door. He moves methodically, instructing the inmates to turn off their bunk lights. When he reaches Cherry's cell, he notices something. She's exposed, reclining on her bed in a way that makes his stomach twist. Sam freezes, his mind screaming at him to step back. His pulse thunders in his ears. Unseen by either of them, cameras capture everything, every glance, every moment of hesitation. Every flicker of temptation that makes Sam's hands shake and his thoughts blur. He looks down at the floor, struggling to control the rising tide of emotion. This is more than a distraction, it's a trap, and deep down he knows it. But despite the warning in his gut, part of him can't look away. Tonight, the rules feel heavier than the steel doors around him. And Cherry, calm, clever, deliberate, is already testing how far he'll bend before breaking. Later that night, the prison falls into an uneasy silence. Sam walks the corridors, checking each cell during lights out. His boots echo faintly against the concrete, mixing with the distant hum of security cameras. When he reaches Cherry's cell, she calls out in a quiet, pained voice, "Officer, I think I need to go to the infirmary, my side hurts." Sam steps closer, concern flashing across his face. "Your side, can you walk or do you need a stretcher?" "I can walk," she says softly, but as he unlocks the door and gestures for her to follow, she subtly guides him toward the stairwell, a dark, isolated corner where the cameras can't see. For a moment, Sam hesitates. Something about the emptiness around them feels wrong, but her voice is gentle, persuasive. "Nobody can see us here," she murmurs. "It's fine, officer, don't worry." He tries to resist, the tension in his chest screaming, but instinct and inexperience betray him. He lets his guard down. Then suddenly everything changes. Cherry moves with shocking speed. In a flurry of motion, she attacks. Sam barely has time to react before the first stab cuts into his neck. Pain explodes, hot and relentless. He stumbles back, struggling to comprehend the betrayal. She doesn't stop. Each strike is deliberate, measured, violent. Blood begins to soak his uniform. Cherry's screams pierce the silence, loud, raw, calculated. "Help, help," she cries, her voice echoing down the stairwell. She staggers out as if she were the victim, clutching her side and collapsing dramatically to the floor. Sam collapses behind her, stunned, gasping for breath. His mind races. This was supposed to be a routine escort, a simple check. Now he's a target of cold, precise violence, his inexperience exploited completely. From the stairwell, Cherry's eyes glint with satisfaction. She's already shaping the story. "He attacked me, I defended myself." Sam knows it's a lie, but he's too weak to stop it now. In an instant, the power dynamics have shifted. The young, careful officer, new, untested, and full of good intentions, has become prey in a system he barely understands. And somewhere in the shadows, the cameras keep rolling, witnesses to a trap perfectly set, perfectly executed. The alarm blares through the women's prison. Guards rush to the stairwell where Cherry's screams echoed moments ago. Sam lies slumped against the cold concrete, blood pooling beneath him. His breathing is shallow, eyes half closed, his body numb with shock and pain. Cherry, already on the floor above, continues her act, clutching her side, moaning, casting herself as the victim. The guards burst in, confusion and fear mingling with adrenaline. "What happened here?" one shouts. "Where's the officer?" Cherry points shakily toward Sam. He attacked me, I was defending myself." Her voice is pitched with terror, convincing even the seasoned officers for a fleeting moment. Within minutes, Sam is rushed to the infirmary. Blood loss is severe and the staff moves frantically to stabilize him, but the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. The forensic team reviews camera footage from the stairwell. Every angle is recorded, the moments before the attack, the subtle manipulation, the sudden violence. Medical examiners note the pattern of injuries. Sam's stab wounds are consistent with a struggle defensive in nature. Cherry, in contrast, has no injuries to suggest she was under attack. Her claims of self-defense begin to unravel under scrutiny. Back in the control room, Mariam Meski and senior guards review the incident. The conversation is heavy, urgent. "She's skilled," Mariam mutters, shaking her head. She knew exactly how to exploit him. Sam's inexperience made him an easy target. One officer points to the camera footage. No visible struggle on her part, his wounds are severe. She manipulated the entire situation to frame him. A tense silence fills the room. Everyone understands the gravity. A corrections officer has been gravely injured and posthumously accused of wrongdoing. The line between trust and betrayal in this environment is stark, and Sam's innocence has cost him dearly. Mariam leans back, her voice calm but firm. This isn't just about rules or procedure. It's about understanding the psychology of these inmates. They're masters of manipulation, compassion, kindness, even those can be weapons if misused. The officers exchange grim looks. It's a harsh lesson. Inexperience, empathy, and misjudgment can be deadly in the wrong hands. As the investigation continues, it becomes painfully clear. In prison, authority is fragile, trust is rare, and every action has consequences, some of them irreversible. Days after the attack, the women's prison is quieter than usual. The routine carries on, but an invisible tension lingers like a shadow stretching through every corridor. Guards move efficiently, their eyes scanning for trouble, their voices tight and controlled. In the control room, Mariam Meski reviews footage of the stairwell attack once more. Every movement, every expression of Cherry's calculated deceit is captured on screen. She shakes her head slowly. "It's tragic," she murmurs. "A young officer, untested with the best intentions, destroyed because he didn't understand the rules of this place." The other officers nod in grim agreement. The lesson is bitter and clear. Compassion and inexperience can be fatal in a world where manipulation is a weapon. Sam's death becomes more than a personal tragedy. It is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the razor-thin line between authority and vulnerability. Cherry is isolated and questioned, but the damage is done. Her deception has already altered the perception of staff and inmates alike. Meanwhile, Sam's absence resonates through the prison halls, his place, once a tower of vigilance, now a void. As the sun sets over the walls of the prison, the corridors darken. Each locked door, each steel-barred cell is a reminder that control is fragile, trust is rare, and human nature, whether in guards or inmates, can twist into deadly form when tested. In the shadows, Mariam and the senior officers reflect quietly. The world behind the walls is a dangerous one, and the lessons learned are written in blood. Compassion must be measured, vigilance maintained, and every misstep remembered. Sam's story ends here, but the prison continues, relentless, unforgiving, and unchanging. And for those who remain, every choice, every glance, every decision carries the weight of survival.